run thriller that squared the 5-match series 2-all. Mohammad Siraj picked up 5 wickets to help India to a famous 6-run win at the Oval. In addition to Siraj, Prasidh Krishna chipped in with 4 wickets. Indian pacers rose to the occasion as they bundled out England for 367 to win the last and the final test by 6 runs.
It was a thrilling end to the test series that was fought so well by Indian pacers. They took the final 4 wickets. Pacer Mohammad Siraj, who led the attack in the absence of pace spearhead Jasprit Bumrah, cleaned up Gus Atkinson, and this has been a series to remember for Siraj himself too. It was a full circle for him. Remember, he was dismissed in the 3rd test, as a result of which England went 2-1 ahead in the series. Siraj emerged as the hero.
The series as a whole, even before this game, it was just all 4 games going to 5 days. This one again, and yeah, it's been, you know, toe to toe pretty much, well, for 25 days. You know, 2 teams, 2 very good teams who have, you know, thrown everything at each other, left nothing out there. You know, so I guess from a cricket fan's point of view, you sort of go 2-2 is probably fair.
What we did this morning kind of summarize what this team is all about. You know, 70 odd runs, 7 wickets in hand. The way Brook and Root were going, not many teams in the world would have given themselves a chance. But this team believes that, you know, whenever we have some kind of an opening, we can make that, we can get through that opening. And that's what we were talking about once Brook was out and then we got early wicket of Bethel, that this is our opening. Let's try to build pressure on them. 1 more wicket from here, and you never know, it's cricket, you know, still 70 odd runs on day 4 on that kind of a wicket, or even 50 runs, they would be under pressure. But when you've got bowlers like him bowling, you know, it makes your job as a captain very easy. You're just standing out there and you just want to appreciate their bowling. Test cricket should be as it is. It's, in my opinion, it is the most rewarding and satisfying format. You work the hardest to be able to get a win.
इसको तो हाईली रेट करूंगा, क्योंकि जैसे हम लोग ने फर्स्ट डे से लेके अभी तक 5th सीरीज और 5th डे, मतलब जैसा फाइट किया हम लोग ने, इट्स अनबिलीवेबल फाइट, ईच एंड एवरीवन ड्रेसिंग रूम, एंड बिलीव इतना था ये ड्रेसिंग रूम में, हर किसी के ऊपर बिलीव था कि हम लोग यहाँ से कर दें, क्योंकि यंगस्टर है, हर कोई है, मतलब हर किसी का बिलीव ऐसा था कि हम लोग यहाँ से मैच जीतेंगे. मतलब ऊपर वाले ने भी कुछ अच्छा लिखा था होगा मेरे लिए, इसीलिए आज मुझे ये मुकाम पे और विकेट भी लिया लास्ट विकेट, तो बहुत ही अच्छा लगा. जैसे जब जस्सी भाई ने परफॉर्मेंस कर रहे थे तो मेरा एक ही काम था, जितना हो सके मैं पार्टनरशिप में बॉलिंग करूंगा. और रही बात इंप्रूवमेंट की, मैं हमेशा अपनी बॉलिंग पे बिलीव रखता हूं कि मैं खुद पे बिलीव रखता हूं कि कोई भी सिचुएशन से मैं विकेट निकाल सकता हूं. तो मेरा यही एक ही बिलीव है कि या मैं 8वां स्पेल डाल रहा हो या पहला स्पेल डाल रहा हो, तो मुझे ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, बट मेरा 100% देना है. वॉट एवर रिजल्ट इज कम.
Alright, so from that moment of joy for the entire nation, now we're shifting focus to our top story of the day. A discussion that we hope will bring you at peace with many existential questions. It's not the kind of conversation most of us expect over our morning coffee, but what if it's a conversation that made you live better? Around the world, strangers meet in cafes to talk about something we all have in common: death.
These are no lectures, they don't come with any particular agenda, it's just honest conversations over tea and cake. These death cafes began in Europe, traveled to the US and now exist in India too. Small pockets, but it's slowly making its way. Living rooms, art studios, and yes, even your neighborhood coffee shop could be hosting these death cafes.
Today, we're joined by someone who has hosted these conversations for years, pioneered this movement in India, and she'll be telling us why talking about death might be one of the most life-affirming things that you can do. Dr. Sneha Roo is a palliative care physician who's hosted death cafes across the country, even for children sometimes, and she's going to join us to tell us how and why now. Dr. Roo, such a pleasure to have you here on the show. Dr. Roo, you've been doing this for I think, a little more than a decade now. Can you tell us why you started?
Good morning, Kristen. Thank you so much for having me. I came to because I was doing a research as a palliative physician on what does a good death mean for people who are actively dying, who are suffering with cancer. And I know during my process that they really needed this conversation. They were more than happy to talk about it because they didn't have any other avenues to do so. Family was not willing to talk about it, doctors were too busy, and they wholeheartedly complied. And I wanted to look at it in a social sense that, okay, they are enjoying it and they're really wanting it, they're finding meaning out of it. So what is available in the society outside? And that's when I found out about death cafes and decided to start them in India. Yeah.
Wow.
Dr. Roo, you've often spoken of how the entire concept of death is mistaken on so many levels. People look at it as a concept which is so negative to the psyche, to the human psyche. And through death cafes, conversations are happening not to talk so much about death, but to actually talk about living more meaningfully, more understandably. So tell us a little bit about that concept and quash that myth for us.
Honestly, through the history of humankind, there was always cognizance of death. There were mythologies, gods represented, and over time we have become a death-repellent culture. So I think these conversations about mortality actually help us live meaningfully. I think that is the usual example that I give, anecdote that when we know that the bread is going to expire, you make sure you use it, and you use it for your best recipes. So it's a known fact that we are all going to die. And how do we make the best use of it? Those are the conversations we are having instead of being oblivious in the consumption.
And Dr. Roo, for everyone watching, what do some of the questions in the cafe, the prompts that you discuss, what do they look like? Can you take us through one or two so we understand?
Yeah, sure. It depends on the group that I'm hosting it for. Like your colleague said, sometimes we host them in schools. And then the prompts are about what do you miss most about the person who's left. And children are talking about their pets. They're talking about this. Probably talking about that with their parents is very hurtful for both the parties. So here is a space. And when we are hosting in colleges or in co-ops, the conversations go around living will, the advanced directives that are there, or sometimes they go around just climate crisis and genocide. So many times it's not the topic I'm providing, conversations that start within the group. And then we take it forward. And since 1 year, we've started hosting them consistently in person in Delhi. For people who are in Delhi who want to check it out, can please come to IHC. Every month it's hosted. And we try to incorporate art making into these conversations of mortality. Last month we discussed Kabir and his philosophy of death and dying. Before that was photography. So I think art helps us make meaning more powerfully, and we are, as a physician and an art therapist, I want to incorporate that. Yeah.
So it's just moving beyond simple conversations and really using art to make these conversations simpler, to make this interaction more meaningful. Dr. Roo, we don't have a very clear line with you. You're in Ladakh, so we do understand that there's a network issue. But before we let you go, we'll quickly ask you one last thing. How has the concept of death changed in India, particularly after COVID-19? Because, there were people who were running around for medicines, there were people who had a near-death experience, there were people who are still coping with the loss of their loved ones. Have people warmed up in a greater manner to this entire concept that Death Cafe brings to the table since COVID?
Yeah, definitely, Kristen. That has been the major change, and in my experience of hosting them. Earlier, somewhere it was like a philosophical contemplation of death, and after COVID, things got real. People lost their loved ones, and they really started reflecting that it could be next, or everything is unpredictable. It hit home. What we as palliative physicians saw in our wards every day, the impermanence, so to say, that the public was experiencing. I think the topics became really significant, and they started asking real questions about how do you care for your loved ones who is actively passing away, or how do you talk about death to children. So these were the questions that came up, which were more significant, more pertinent and useful for daily life.
And if we could just ask you quickly, Dr. Ru, if someone is watching this and if they are inspired but they don't live in Delhi, how does one host a death cafe? How does one go about it? And this concept originated, I believe, from England, and it's come down to India. You've brought it here. But how does one go about it if they're in a different city?
Yeah, we are going to start online death cafes very soon, so one can join in there. And it's very easy to host a death cafe, in the sense the process is pretty simple. Anybody who has attended one death cafe is okay to host another one. So you can just attend one of my online death cafes and see, how it is. Like your colleague said, it's not an informative session, it's not an expert-led session. So one gets to experience death cafe and then they can start it on their own. There are few guidelines for example, that death cafes are never charged, because this is a social franchise that John Underwood has started. So you don't charge for death cafes, and you ensure the safety of people, so you have it in public place. Although there have been death cafes in living rooms, but safety is also a priority. So I think these 2-3 simple things, if you take care, one can really pioneer the movement in their city and start hosting these cafes so that conversations can happen.
Okay, we'll let you go, but there's one question on top of my head. We're struggling with the network, but there's so much we want to ask you. Tell us the kind of resistance you're facing in hosting these kind of sessions. How is the hospitality industry looking at it? Because initially, when the entire movement began in the West, even in the US, all of this was being hosted in cafes, restaurants, community spaces, yes. But is there hesitance on part of restaurant owners to really give a nod for something that's called a death cafe?
Yeah, actually, and sadly, many times we don't put up posters. In fact, by default, we never put up posters that say, oh, death cafe is happening here. People find where this table I'm sitting in and walk to the table quietly. And there were a few venues, like one in Hyderabad, that asked us, because we were hosting it regularly and the turnout was brilliant. Once we had 80 people show up, and that was the maximum we've had so far. After that, interestingly, they said, please don't host death cafes here, because we don't want to be known as a place where death cafes are hosted. It was gaining traction massively in 2017 and 18 with media. Now, even with one venue in Delhi, we had to change the name to, this transient life, and not call it death cafes per se. So this is a very, obvious reason why we need more of death cafes. Even if we are scared of uttering the word death, then there's something to it. Yeah. Thank you so much for having this conversation on this topic. Yeah.
Dr. Ru, it's been lovely having you. Thank you for joining us. From Ladakh, frankly, it's huge. It's not every day that we get a guest joining us from Ladakh and sharing and continuing, even though the connection is not so good. But it's been wonderful to have you shed light on this. We're just going to move on now from Dr. Ru to our next guest.
And before that, we'll also talk about how there are different practices in different parts of the world around death, around loss of life. Death isn't always marked by silence or sorrow. In Kerala, for instance, funerals are often community gatherings with music and shared meals. In Tamil Nadu, there are parai drummers. They play in honor of the departed.
And let's take you abroad. In Mexico, the Day of the Dead turns cemeteries into colorful festivals. In Ghana, coffins are built in the shape of a fish, a plane, even a favorite beer bottle, and they're supposed to tell the story of the life that was lived. In Bhutan, you have people who meditate on death 5 times a day as a reminder to live mindfully.
Across the world, death is not just an ending, it's an expression of culture, memory, and meaning. There's also the concept of a living funeral. As bizarre as it may sound to several, this is a concept which is celebrated worldwide.
how do you remember someone when they're still living and what do you celebrate about them? In Japan, they call it Shizenzo, a funeral while living. People plan and attend their own farewells before they die to hear what loved ones would have to say about them, to make peace or simply to celebrate while they're still here. The idea is simple but powerful. It takes the burden off families and it gives the person a gift, which is the chance to say goodbye on their own terms. The concept has travelled to the US, the UK, Korea, and even in India. Now, for psychologists, this growing openness around death is a healthy sign.
More people are writing their own obituaries, choosing the music, rituals, even outfits for the last day. Some keep dead journals, letters, memories, messages to be shared after they're gone. For the elderly, these conversations can be especially important, not to sadden their children, but to really prepare them for what's coming. It's a cultural shift, seeing death not as something to fear, but as something we can shape, plan, and even soften with love and clarity. Dr. Harish Shetty is with us, our second guest this morning, to tell us why having this conversation is important, even in a country where death is still taboo. Dr. Shetty, very good morning. We take this conversation forward now. Dr. Shetty, tell us, since we're talking about this concept of death cafes, to your mind, having gone through perhaps people who've shared these stories, experiences, have come to you for help, how helpful or meaningful can this concept really be?
I think it's an inspiring concept, and there are many things people come and tell. One of the most important things is I still feel guilty I have not taken care of him enough, care of her enough. I feel guilty that I have not spent enough time. I should have spent enough time with him or her. And there's also a fear that I might inherit the same illness. There's also sometimes, if you have been a sole caregiver of somebody who has died, you may have a lot of anxiety, a lot of exhaustion, a lot of tiredness. In the death cafe, when you put all this on the table, it becomes beautiful. In fact, in America, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote that pioneering book, Death and Dying, which made Americans start speaking about that. In India, different cultures speak about death in different ways. And also important to understand that in India, for a lot of us, death is not a full stop, it's a comma. And so these death cafes can help sharing all the instances before the comma and bringing beautiful memories of the people. Now, guilt, fear, shame, anger, and sadness will actually go away when you sit down with each other and share the great memories you have had or the difficult memories you have had. But one caution, you need to choose who comes to the death cafe. You can't get everybody there. Somebody who is very depressed, on the verge of crossing the fence, jumping across, should not attend a death cafe because the processes in his or her mind is very different, and he or she might really take a different message which might cause harm. What is also very important is, in India, people don't know how to grieve. A large number of them, people go and talk rubbish to those who have lost their loved ones. Kuch nahi hoga, sab kuch theek hoga. You should look ahead. Understand, look at your children. Don't look behind.
Death avoidant as a society.
Absolutely. And what is very important for us is in this death conferences or death meetings, we will be able to actually know what to say and what not to do. To be there is more important than to advise. And the person who listens to this advice feels, your father did not die, your mother did not die, it's my mother, my father. Don't stop me from saying this, understand. Allowing the person to grieve as much as he or she can, respectfully, mindfully, and holding the person in your arms is the best way to manage people who have lost their loved ones. At the same time, pathological grief can be long-standing. And if pathological grief is there, you need to look for depression, you need to look for other stories in life which has disturbed the people, which is still running in the mind. And you need to look for PTSD, because if somebody has seen somebody dying after a long illness and he or she has been gasping in the ICU all the time, those memories remain in the system for a long time. You get nightmares. So you need to differentiate people from grieving and pathological grieving. At the same time, those who are depressed, need to be really taken care of. They need not attend these death meetings. But talking about it in a very skillful manner, the facilitator being very skillful is most important. The facilitator is most important, who can carry the conversations across different routes and different layers. I think that is the key for any death conference or death meeting or death talks. Psychiatrists always say that if you ponder about that, you live your life well. As you said earlier, mindful living is much better when you know that breath has an expiry date. And that's a very beautiful sentence I heard in this conversation.
So you cherish each and every moment that you're alive. Till your last day, you're really enjoying life and really soaking it all in and not thinking about the future, almost dying with it.
It's, you asked...
And that's very difficult, but the point is, if you're aware all the time, it becomes easier, but not easy.
Dr. Shetty, Kritsween had earlier talked, you talked when we were talking earlier about Death Cafe with Dr. Ru, about India grappling with COVID, how everyone saw a death taking place around them, how difficult that was for us as a society. And I just want to ask you, Doctor, if you saw in your clinics things change, conversations around death, India learning how to grieve. Because as you said, Indians don't know how to grieve. We are awkward around it. I don't want to, generalize our nation like that, but we are awkward around it. We sometimes don't know what to say, what to ask. Have you seen that change, though, over the last few years?
Absolutely. In fact, we conducted support groups for those families who have lost their loved ones. And one incident I remember, which really helped to break everybody's resistance, is that they would not open the cupboard where the clothes of the person who has passed away is there. They would not look at the cupboard. They would keep the cupboard locked. So when they came in a group, they were able to unlock their minds, their fears, and open the cupboard, and they would look at the clothes, they would hold the clothes, talk about the person. So many people had a grief that their wives wanted them to go abroad, but the husband said that after I earn a little more money, then we'll all go abroad. And that guilt which the spouses had. So in a group setting, I mean, that was also a death meeting. In fact, we didn't name it like that. But the point is, slowly people opened up and helped each other, unlock their minds, unlock the cupboards and the drawers where the deceased has kept his stuff, hold it close to his chest or her chest, weep and accept this has happened. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross has said there are 5 stages of grieving. One is denial, anger, bargaining, depression and acceptance. But everybody may not go through all these 5 stages. But what is important is when anger comes up against God, against everybody else, why did he take my father, my son, my brother? A group which is very mindful, which is very compassionate, can alleviate that much faster than being locked in our minds and staying indoors and not sharing it with everybody and pretending that I'm strong and nothing has actually affected me.
Dr. Shetty, pandemic is just one aspect. We're living a life in times where we're seeing a lot of things shape up negatively because of climate change. Let's not forget the wars around us. But to anyone who's watching this, who's experienced that kind of loss or fears death the way we've just discussed, what would your advice to them be? When is there a need for them to seek medical help and just go beyond conversations that death cafes ensure?
I think vicarious trauma is very important. When you watch the news, the kids are tremendously upset and they ask very funny questions, very important questions, whether it will happen to our country, whether I will die, whether you will die. There are many, many boys and girls who say, I will not join the army because I don't want to die. What is extremely important here is that in schools, allow them to express what they feel, let them understand the joy of life, let them understand the good things of life. At the same time, when you saw the Air India crash, channels kept on repeating the pictures of the crash. And I advise all school children and others who are very vulnerable not to watch all this, but have a healthy discussion about life and have a healthy discussion about small joys in life, and have a very healthy chat of being together, living together, loving together, being kind to each other, and these wars will take place. Let us not look at the wars. Let's take care of our homes. Let's take care of our lanes. Let's take care of our bastis, and see that our basti, our lane, our household, our complexes are easy, are soft and caring. That's the message which we all do. But children who have been affected and they can't study, they can't read, they get very scared, they have real nightmares. A lot of art therapy, a lot of projective tests and training helps the children through mental health professionals, and one should not avoid it, because if there is a trauma very early in childhood, it's going to explode when you are an adult and you will not know it. So late onset PTSD is also known. So that is something one needs to really take care of. And in a death cafe, if somebody grieves to a point that I don't want to live, I don't believe in all this, nothing goes in, then these cafes have to be careful not to overestimate their abilities to resolve. They need to tell him or her, or escort him or her to the easiest, friendly neighborhood psychologist or a psychiatrist.
They actually say, Dr. Shetty, on the website very clearly that we are not here to help you therapize. That is the job of professionals. So they do put that out. But Doctor, it has been a joy to have you on, to have you shed a light on this topic. We're going to move on, but thank you for joining us here on the show.
All right, with that, it's time for us to head into a very short break. But coming up next is a very interesting conversation with Kavya Jones. She's going to talk about her boldest track yet. She's going to talk about moments that shaped her musical journey and the big faces she's collaborated with. We'll be right back with that conversation.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Well, Vivek Srivastava, that's the fundamental point. You have a situation
Yes.
where an individual,
Yes.
and it can be tracked back,
Yes.
as some people say, to the MOU.
Yes.
They believe that the Congress party is soft on China because of that MOU, and you can see the pictures of that MOU. Let's bring those pictures back of the MOU. On the extreme right, there's Sonia Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi has been sat down. There's Xi Jinping standing over the shoulder of Rahul Gandhi's counterpart there, the head of the CCP. And yes,
the goatee, Vivek Srivastava without the goatee sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, does anybody know what is in the MOU? The government of India knows. It knows it very well.
No, how does it know?
And deliberately
It's a
so that
private
the debate
MOU
can
signed
go on.
between a Congress
and you
party.
can label Sonia Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi as anti-nationals. आप रोड फोटो दिखाइए. भारत सरकार को पता नहीं चला अभी तक MOU में क्या है.
कैसे
You
पता
called Xi
लगेगा
Jinping
सर?
over to Gujarat. You took him. You had a good time with him and you don't know.
सर कैसे
You never
पता
asked.
लगेगा, आप जरा बताइए.
The foreign minister goes over there, he
MOU
doesn't
किसी की
know.
तिजोरी में है, कैसे
The
पता
truth
लगेगा
is they
सरकार
know.
को?
The truth is they don't want to tell you that they know, so that you can every day show these pictures and say, देखो देखो, Sonia Gandhi,
Mr.
Rahul Gandhi,
Srivastava,
anti-national.
why doesn't the Congress put it out?
Traitors. Don't do this, boss.
Why
Don't
why
do
can't
that,
the
boss.
Congress put it
भारत
out?
की सरकार और हमारी इंटेलिजेंस, सर, इस देश की सरकार और इंटेलिजेंस इतनी स्ट्रांग है, उसको पता है क्या है, और MOU में कुछ भी शेडी नहीं था. यह है पहली बात.
No, how do
दूसरी
you
बात
know?
पे आते हैं.
How do you know?
सच्चा
How do you know?
हिंदुस्तानी- There is an
आपने देखा है?
observation. सच्चा हिंदुस्तानी as
How do you know?
हाँ.
How do you
क्या
know?
देखा है?
How do you know?
No, I know.
How do you
I
know?
Because I trust
I
the government
know.
intelligence. I trust the Indian army.
The Indian army
I
had
trust
nothing
my
to do with it.
intelligence
They didn't
agencies.
sign the
That's
MOU.
what I
It was the
trust.
Congress party and the
No,
CCP
you
that.
don't trust the intelligence. You don't trust the intelligence of this country. That
Sir,
is
no
your
one
problem.
saw that.
I trust. The
Sir, no
government of
one
India
saw
knows
that.
what is in the MOU.
Why can't the Congress put it out?
Everybody has seen it.
No, if it's nothing, why can't the Congress put it out? Why is the Congress... No, hang on. Vivek Srivastava, you answer this question. Why can't the Congress put out the terms of the MOU? Did the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation accept money from the CCP, yes or no? Did Rajiv Gandhi Foundation...
The Congress cannot keep reacting.
Why?
The Congress cannot keep reacting to every wrong narrative of Rahul Shiv Shankar and this government.
Viewers,
both of them hands in hands.
Viewers, today...
And yes, Rahul Gandhi is a patriot.
Okay, today, viewers, let me quietly tell you this. It is the Supreme Court that is asking the questions. If they're not obligated to answer the Supreme Court, what does it tell you, viewers? That they're too entitled to be questioned. That they're above law, they're above question, whether it is... Herald, whether it is anything. No, 1 second. If the world is... No, hang on. If there are insinuations...
We are ready to answer.
Vivek ji,
the Congress is ready to answer everything.
Vivek ji.
And we are alliance partners.
Where has the Congress party, name me one place where the Congress party has held a press conference and shown this is the MOU, these are the terms of the MOU, have you released it? Have you seen any press conference?
It should not.
It should not.
It should not.
So viewers, it should come out constantly making statements that the court says...
We are not going to react to allegations of people like you and the government.
Okay.
Let the government of India show. They also have it.
Okay, 5 seconds before I bring in Tuin Sinha. Yeah.
No, I just want to bring out the glory of my good friend Vivek. 5 days ago, you remember on your very show, I was there. Today he says he really trusts our intelligence agencies. 5 days ago, he was saying, I do not believe what our intelligence agencies are saying that...
Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. Let's take you now to our person of interest. The next guest is a voice you can't ignore. Bold in her storytelling, but she's also effortless in her craft. Trained in Hindustani classical music since the age of 5, she grew up steeped in an entertainment family, yet carved her own lane in the industry. She's performed with legends like Leslie Lewis, Shankar Mahadevan and Shan.
She has also delivered charting singles like Boondo Mein and Tu Hai Mera and has built a career that thrives both on stage and in the studio. Today, she joins us to talk about her journey so far, her music, the moments that shaped her, and what's really up for her next. Kavya, hi there. How are you doing? Good morning. Let's start with Boondo Mein, a bold narrative for the Hindi audience. Tell us more. What made you talk about this story in this way?
So, like you rightly said, it is an extremely bold and sensuous visual narrative, and when you even hear the audio, it's treated with that level of sensuality and that level of oomphness that we call in the audio as well. So it's a great package, and the reason I wanted to do this because, you know, owning up to who you really are, and if that also means that there is a personality that I have of being a bit of a sensual, bold, for the lack of a better word, sexy girl. I always have a bit of that shade in a lot of my music that I approach towards as well. So I said Boondo Mein has to be my all-out zone, because I've always been trying to cover it up with a little bit of bubbliness in my previous songs, or a little bit of, you know, a coyness in my previous songs. But this time I said no. I think it's high time that I own up to it, and I did it, and I did it with absolute ease and you know, a lot of confidence, because I totally believed in it, and I totally believed in myself to kind of portray this side of my personality as an artist. And for the Hindi audiences, it is as bold as it could get. But I'm extremely glad for all the love that I've been receiving, and it's so liberating for an artist to take a step like that and then be received with so much love and appreciation and a pat on my back saying, wow, it takes courage. So I feel very happy.
Can we maybe get a few lines from Boondo Mein just for our viewers?
Breakfast Club is going to turn into a bit of a quite oomphy and a sensuous place right now. So let me go for it. बारिशों की बूंदों में और तू मस्ती में मुझे झलके, मुझको छू जो लिया, अनजाने क्या किया, भावनाओं से बहका मेरा दिल, ना जाने क्यों चल रहा मेरा जहां, तुम चलाए हल्के हल्के बूंदों में ऐसी बारिशों में, चल रहा मेरा जहां, तुम चलाए हल्के हल्के बूंदों में, तेरे होठों पे बारिश की बूंदें, वो मैं हूँ.
How lovely.
I love that wo main hoon.
Yeah.
Really a lot of oomph in that song. But Kavya, tell us, how surreal was that collaboration for you?
Oh wow! So basically, this has been one of my biggest collaborations that I've ever been a part of, and I've been mentored by Leslie Sir for the last 6 years. So Leslie Lewis has been an integral part of my journey. But when he brought this song and he said that, you know, we should do something like that. I mean, you've heard Leslie Lewis music. It's never going to be. It's always been hatke. It's always been out of the box. Always. So I consider myself very lucky as an upcoming pop icon that, you know, like I'm treading lines that I think. Independent music, the sound, I'm trying to bring that shift, and that's because of the opportunities that I'm getting. So Leslie Sir is one aspect of that opportunity because he's composed this song, he's also written this song for me, and it has been such a wonderful journey with him with this in relation to this song, because like when I sang it for you right now, the phrasing, the way I sing it, it's not the usual. You don't hear it every day. So that one was a challenge, and Leslie Sir pushes me all the time. That's why I love working with him. I love being you know, a part of his melodies and a part of his compositions. And the cherry, I think that my entire song got complete with Colin Leonard actually agreeing to master this song and be a part of this song. I think for me that was one of my biggest wins.
You started learning Hindustani music very, very young, I believe, 5 or 6. When did it feel like this is it? Music is, you know, the thing I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life.
I was born into an entertainment family, so it came very naturally to me in the beginning. And like at 5, my father I used to sing here and there, and my father said that, you know, she has the talent, let's put her into a singing class. And that's when my journey started with Hindustani classical. But I think till 16, I was just doing it because my dad and my mom, they really wanted me to do it, honestly. Like that was you can say that was the purpose for my primitive years of learning music. I just did it because I had to do it. I just did it. But I think I started falling in love with the craft, say when I turned 20. And I'm saying that because I know my journey from 5 to 20. I know the amount of distractions that I had while I was trying to complete my education, and because whoever came to my house, they saw me a certain way, so they would tell my parents and they would tell me as well that, you know, why doesn't she get into acting, or why doesn't she get into modeling? Or when I went into college, I started doing everything but music. So slowly I felt in my teenage years, music started to take a backseat. But they say when your calling is that, and when you're meant to do it, you'll always come around and come back to it again and again and again. And I think my journey with music has been that.
Lovely. Kavya, you know, on The Breakfast Club, we've had so many conversations around independent music with independent artists. So tell us about your journey a little bit, and what perhaps was the most defining chapter, memory or phase of your journey as an independent artist?
I think it has to be Boondon Mein. And the reason I say this is because prior to Tu Hai Mera, I had released my self-titled debut EP called Kavya Jones, which had two very prominent singles in them called Aaja Meri Baahon Mein and Behek Gayi Main. When I was singing those songs, I was still pretty new to the field of independent music, trying to figure what my sound is like. What is my chap as an artist? I was just trying to figure how can I sound different and how can I put myself out of the box and break the mundane tones that I have been exposed to or the sounds that I have been exposed to. Like I said, because my collaboration with Leslie Lewis has given me those wings that because he thinks out of the box, then he actually mentored me and put me into this zone in my first EP. I got a lot of appreciation for that, but with appreciation comes also the noise, right? The noise also sets in, and a lot of industry professionals started telling me that, Kavya, this is great, this music is great, but I think you should make something more commercial. And you as a young artist, you will fall into the trappings of the business and you want to kind of also be accepted commercially, quote unquote. And that's why the birth of Tu Hai Mera happened. If you hear Tu Hai Mera, it's an extremely pop, dance pop, commercial kind of a sound. And because Tu Hai Mera became one of my massive hits in the public eye, everybody told me just follow it up with the same thing. Because when ek cheez chalta hai, then that's the thing you feel like, okay, let's follow it up with the other one. So Oo Mere Dil Mein Tu I was following up for Tu Hai Mera.
We've also heard as you're saying that you're incredible live. So if we could even get you to maybe sing us another snippet now. If you had to pick one song, yours or someone else's, that you never fails to get the crowd going, really, really on their feet as we saw in those visuals, what would it be? Could we maybe hear a snippet?
I mean, when you asked me this question, the answer already was in my mind. So I'm not going to think. It was Lag Ja Gale, and it is Lag Ja Gale. Wow. So before I tell you what I feel when I sing Lag Ja Gale and how the audiences react to it, I'll sing a few lines for you. हमको मिली है आज ये घड़ियाँ नसीब से लग जा गले कि फिर ये हंसी रात हो न हो शायद फिर इस जन्म में मुलाकात हो न हो लग जा गले. That's the song that has given me so much love, and every time I sing it, the audiences are clapping away and they connect so much to it. And the reason I say this because for all the audiences out here also, there's a version of I did a cover for Sarigama, and I reinterpreted this song in my way, and it gives me immense joy that Sarigama, who is the original label of this song, they accepted my version, and it's so highly appreciated by a lot of audiences.
Lovely. I think I almost got carried away there for a second. But Kavya, as an independent artist, we've spoken about all the ups. We've heard you sing. You've almost given us a glimpse of what it's like, how people go tapping to your music. But tell us about the tough parts as well.
I just feel that musically we are in fantastic times, honestly. This narrative of, yes, Bollywood will always be I wouldn't say an overpowering sort of an industry, but yes, it is something that we have been exposed to from the 70s, 60s, 40s. I mean, that's the only form of music we consumed. So film music was the only form of music that we consumed. Independent has been a recent and a very the magnanimity of indie pop music has been quite recent. I mean, I will not take it from, I mean, 90s indie pop had started. But again, it died down because of Bollywood coming into the face of it. But today when I see as an independent artist, we're still here to stay. I mean, no way Bollywood is reducing, right? It's always there, it's always going to be there. But I feel that look at the independent artists who are gaining so much love and so much appreciation in today's time where, you know, there is, say, like singers like, you know, Prateek Kuhar's, or there's this young singer called Jeannie. I mean, they get so much love by the audiences, and they are not necessarily Bollywood artists or even have a single song in Bollywood. So today the industry is growing, and the independent industry is growing, and we have so many avenues opened out. There are so many places where we can take our music and perform. The venues have opened out for us. We have so much international collaborations that we can see. The world of music is getting smaller. It's not just Indian music and Western music anymore. It's so great to see even singers from India who sing English songs. They have their bit of a fan base that's popping out. So it's a great time to be an independent artist.
Tell us, Kavya, what's next for you? A collaboration? Are we going to see more music coming out of a different genre? Tell us more.
So I think my like I said, this was the biggest of my biggest collaborations, which was with Colin Leonard and Leslie Lewis. And yeah, I am doing something with him. I'm doing a lot of projects also in the West. So I'm very, very excited for you guys to kind of, for my Indian audiences to experience me in another avatar. I'm not going to stop at one. Boondon Mein is just the beginning, and there's lots to do. Genre switch, that's the surprise that I will leave you with, because my fan base wouldn't have seen me in the next thing that I'm doing. I think my fan base is going to be a little shocked with that. So I'm just going to leave you with a little bit of that, because I've always, sorry, but I just want to say I've never been an artist who drops a teaser and drops things like that. I just dropped the song. I think that's really worked well for me, because I've always tried to push the edge with every song. And when I dropped Boondon Mein, the album cover, it did create a lot of rage, and that's how I am, and that's why my tagline is unmissable, unstoppable, explosive.
Well,
so I leave my audiences feeling like that.
Well, you've just dropped a surprise bomb on everyone watching you on what your next song is going to be. It's going to apparently shock everyone. But Kavya, thank you so much, and congratulations for Boondon Mein. All the very best.
Okay, we're heading into a quick break. On the other side, more, so do stay with us.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Well, Vivek Srivastava, that's the fundamental point. You have a situation where an individual, and it can be tracked back, as some people say, to the MOU. They believe that the Congress party is soft on China because of that MOU, and you can see the pictures of that MOU. Let's bring those pictures back of the MOU. On the extreme right, there's Sonia Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi has been sat down. There's Xi Jinping standing over the shoulder of Rahul Gandhi's counterpart there, the head of the CCP. And
without the goatee, Vivek Srivastava without the goatee sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, does anybody know what is in the MOU? The government of India knows. It knows it very well.
No, how does it know? It's a private MOU signed between a Congress party.
And you can label Sonia Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi as anti-nationals. आप रोड फोटो दिखाइए. भारत सरकार को पता नहीं चला अभी तक MOU में क्या है.
कैसे पता लगेगा सर?
To Gujarat, you took him. You had a good time with him and you don't know.
सर कैसे पता लगेगा आप जरा बताइए.
The foreign minister goes over there.
MOU किसी की तिजोरी में है, कैसे पता लगेगा सरकार को?
The truth is they don't want to tell you that they know, so that you can every day show these pictures and say, dekho, dekho, Sonia Gandhi,
Mr.
Rahul Gandhi,
Srivastava,
anti-national.
why doesn't the Congress put it out?
Traitors. Don't do this, boss.
Why can't the Congress put it
भारत
out?
की सरकार और हमारी इंटेलिजेंस, सर, इस देश की सरकार और इंटेलिजेंस इतनी स्ट्रांग है, उसको पता है क्या है, और एमओयू में कुछ भी शेडी नहीं था. यह है पहली बात.
No, how do you know?
आते हैं.
How do you know?
सच्चा
How do you know?
हिंदुस्तानी,
आपने देखा है?
सच्चा हिंदुस्तानी as
How do you know?
हाँ.
How do you
क्या
know?
देखा है?
How do you know?
No, I know.
How do you know?
Because I trust the government intelligence. I trust the Indian army.
The Indian army had nothing to do with it. They didn't sign the MOU. It was the Congress party and the CCP that.
You don't trust the intelligence. You don't trust the intelligence of this country.
Sir, no one saw that.
I trust. The
Sir, no
government
one
of
saw
India
that.
knows what is in the MOU.
Why can't the Congress put it out?
Everybody has seen it.
No,
This
if it's
government
nothing,
knows
why
it.
can't the Congress
This
put it out? Why is the
government
Congress?
knows
No,
it.
hang on. Vivek Srivastava, you answer this question. Why can't the Congress put out the terms of the MOU?
Yeah.
Did the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation
not.
accept money from
Let the
the
government of India
CCP,
do it.
yes or no? Did
We
Rajiv
cannot
Gandhi
keep
Foundation?
reacting. The Congress cannot keep reacting.
Why?
The Congress cannot keep reacting to every wrong narrative of Rahul Shiv Shankar
Okay.
and this government.
Viewers,
Both of them hands in hands.
viewers, today.
And yes, Rahul Gandhi is a patriot.
Okay, today, viewers, let me quietly tell you this. It is the Supreme Court that is asking the questions. If they're not obligated to answer the Supreme Court, what does it tell you, viewers? That they're too entitled to be questioned. That they're above law, they're above question, whether it is Herald, whether it is anything. No, one second.
No.
If the world is, hang on. If there are
We are
insinuations.
answering. We are ready to answer.
Vivek
The
ji,
Congress is ready
if
to
they
answer
are,
everything.
Vivek ji,
And we are alliance partners.
where
with
has the
alliance.
Congress party, name me
trust the
one
Congress.
place where the Congress party has held a press conference and shown this is the MOU, these are the terms of the MOU, have we released it? Have you seen any press
It should
conference?
not. It should not.
It should not.
It should not.
So
It should
viewers,
not be done.
it should come out
We are not
constantly
going to be
making
reacting.
statements that the
We are
court
not
says.
going to react to
Okay, welcome back. Now we bring to you a special section on financial markets powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium healthcare metals destination for investing and business insights.
All right, let's take a look very quickly first at markets. GIFT Nifty is indicating a muted opening for Indian stock markets. Asian stock markets open higher, tracking the gains in the US stocks. US stock markets close higher on optimism about interest rate cuts by the Fed. Crude oil prices hold steady amid reports of an impending rise in supplies.
And moving on to sectors in particular, value retailers are increasingly making a mark thanks to the steady shift to the organized sector. With a strong presence across Tier 2 and Tier 4 cities, they are well placed to meet the growing demand. The focus is also on selling private labels that ensure steady growth without compromising on profitability. Most leading players are opting for a high productivity expansion strategy, balancing growth with profitability. So log into Money Control Pro to find out more about India's retail sector and other actionable insights on markets. It is the premier destination for all the investing views and financial insights you will ever need, brought to you by Money Control.
Today's episode, more than other episodes, has felt like it has spanned every single genre. Right from a very meaningful conversation I felt right in the beginning about death to music, seeing what Kavya has to bring us. And what do we have to look forward to tomorrow, Kritsween?
Tomorrow we're actually going to talk about something that's been making it to the headlines, which is also how Sayyara, the film, has performed. And there is so much talk going on about whether or not to some extent, there was a PR game which was being played that really led to Sayyara making waves the way it has.
Innovative marketing.
Yeah, so we're going to focus on that. And
who can forget Coldplay when we talk about that? An astronomer. We will not give away too much more, but we are going to be taking a look at all of the really, really exciting, fun PR games we've seen play out in the public eye in the last few months. And we break down exactly why they work and what there is to learn from them. For now, that's all that we have for you.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
So you've seen the big arc lights here, the flashy cameras, but beyond all of this, journalism is all about hard work. So if you have it in you to make a name for yourself in this hyper-competitive industry, then let CNN News 18 be your platform.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Well, Vivek Srivastava, that's the fundamental point. You have a situation where an individual, and it can be tracked back, as some people say, to the MOU. They believe that the Congress party is soft on China because of that MOU, and you can see the pictures of that MOU. Let's bring those pictures back of the MOU. On the extreme right, there's Sonia Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi has been sat down. There's Xi Jinping standing over the shoulder of Rahul Gandhi's counterpart there, the head of the CCP. And
without the goatee, Vivek Srivastava without the goatee sitting there.
Yeah, I mean, does anybody know what is in the MOU? The government of India knows. It knows it very well.
No, how does it know? It's a private MOU signed between a Congress party.
And you can label Sonia Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi as anti-nationals. आप रोड फोटो दिखाइए. भारत सरकार को पता नहीं चला अभी तक MOU में क्या है.
कैसे पता लगेगा सर?
To Gujarat, you took him. You had a good time with him and you don't know.
सर कैसे पता लगेगा आप जरा बताइए?
The foreign minister goes over there.
MOU किसी की तिजोरी में है, कैसे पता लगेगा सरकार को?
The truth is they don't want to tell you that they know, so that you can every day show these pictures and say, देखो देखो, Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, anti-national.
Why doesn't the Congress put it out?
Don't do this, boss.
Why can't the Congress put it out?
भारत की सरकार और हमारी इंटेलिजेंस, सर, इस देश की सरकार और इंटेलिजेंस इतनी स्ट्रांग है, उसको पता है क्या है, और MOU में कुछ भी शेडी नहीं था. यह है पहली बात.
No, how do you know?
आते हैं.
How do you know? आपने देखा है?
सच्चा हिंदुस्तानी as.
How do you know?
हाँ.
How do you know? How do you know?
No, I know.
How do you know?
Because I trust the government intelligence. I trust the Indian Army.
The Indian Army had nothing to do with it. They didn't sign the MOU. It was the Congress party and the CCP that.
You don't trust the intelligence. You don't trust the intelligence of this country.
Sir, no one saw that.
I trust.
Sir, no one saw that.
Knows what is in the MOU.
Why can't the Congress put it out?
Everybody has seen it.
No, if it's nothing, why can't the Congress put it out? Why is the Congress... No, hang on. Vivek Srivastava, you answer this question. Why can't the Congress put out the terms of the MOU? Did the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation accept money from the CCP, yes or no? Did Rajiv Gandhi Foundation...
The Congress cannot keep reacting.
Why?
The Congress cannot keep reacting to every wrong narrative of Rahul Shiv Shankar and this government.
Viewers,
both of them hands in hands.
Viewers, today...
And yes, Rahul Gandhi is a patriot.
Okay, today, viewers, let me quietly tell you this. It is the Supreme Court that is asking the questions. If they're not obligated to answer the Supreme Court, what does it tell you, viewers? That they're too entitled to be questioned. That they're above law, they're above question, whether it is...
Hello, you're watching the breaking news show right here on CNN News 18. My name is Toya Singh, and over the next 1 hour, we're going to walk you through all of the country's top breaking news stories. But very quickly, let's first take a look at all of the headlines. First up, India slamming Trump's tariff threat over Russian oil imports, calling it unjustified, unreasonable. MEA has defended energy trade with Russia. It accuses the West of double standards. And Russia slams US threats on countries buying its crude oil, says US hegemony is eroding and sanctions can't stop the natural course of history. The Prime Minister is all set to address the NDA parliamentary party to be facilitated by strong response to Pakistan during Operation Sindhu. He's going to be felicitated for his response. And today marks the 6th anniversary of Article 370's abrogation. Farooq Abdullah's seemingly controversial remarks on militancy trigger a row, and BJP vows Article 370 will never return. Ghaziabad residents are ordered by authorities to rebuild the collapsed Greenview apartment staircase at their own cost. The Haryana Chief Minister downplays severe waterlogging. And India beats England by 6 runs to draw the series 2-all, and Siraj shines with 5 wickets. All right, first up, in a response to US President Donald Trump's tariff threats continuing, India's Ministry of External Affairs has now trained its guns at the United States, and it's called them out for targeting India for importing Russian oil. A statement by the MEA said that India started these imports after traditional supplies were diverted to Europe due to the conflict, with the US initially encouraging such actions to stabilize global energy markets. Taking a subtle jab at the United States, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar talked about the need for a fair, multipolar global order and the need to reject dominance by just a few powers. Russia has also said that Washington is, quote, living in denial. The sanctions or tariff wars can halt the inevitable shift in global power dynamics. We're going to play out for you first what it is that the External Affairs Minister had to say. Then we'll connect with reporters.
Complicated and uncertain